a big hand for Laura.
I'm a newbie, and I have to tell you, I have to be honest with you, Michael, when I pictured how this would go tonight, I pictured a fucking stool. So I'm a little nervous, but we're going to shake it off and get through this. So tonight's theme is a reunion, but before you can talk about a reunion, I thought, let's talk about the union. So I have a story to tell you about a person I met in Buckfield, Maine, where I live. And this union happened about 20 years ago in my home, and I'll try to paint a picture for you. I was in my 20s. I had just purchased this home, and one night I was just going upstairs to bed, tucking myself in, getting all comfy, and you know that state when you're sort of half conscious and half not conscious and you're drifting off. That was me. And as I was relaxing and sort of going into that sleeping state, I felt our family dog sort of jump up on the bed and the full weight of him on my legs. And then I remembered, we don't have a dog. And as I laid there with my eyes closed, feeling the weight on my legs, and by the way, this is 100% true, and I don't care if you believe me or not, I hesitated and I opened my eyes, and on the end of my bed was a man. He was an older man, and I think I was as shocked as he was. He looked surprised and he looked scared, and I'm sure I looked surprised and scared. And we looked at each other, and honestly, in that moment, I would have thought that it would have been hysterical or screaming or some awful, awful reaction. But really, my reaction was, why are you here? You look scared. You look lost. And we met eyes, and we tried to figure it out. But actually, pump the brakes. Michael said earlier, the setting is very important to the story. So let me tell you a little bit about the setting. Buckfield, Maine, best town in Maine. Right, Ryan? My house is 307 years old. I bought it when I was 23 years old. I grew up in a split-level home, 70s style, avocado appliances, pumpkin shag, carpeting. And I had this romantic notion that I wanted to live in a farmhouse, somewhere where generations had lived and had Christmases and birthdays and deaths and funerals and weddings. And I found this house in Buckfield. Price was right, and I bought the house. But at the closing, something really bizarre happened. It's called the Stigmatized property law in Maine. And so as we were signing paper after paper, my realtor looked at the seller and said, "Are you ready to tell?" And I thought, that's weird. What's going on? And she said, "You know the hole in the back stairwell, in the door, there's a hole. Did you notice it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Yeah." And she said this really, really quickly. "That's for the ghost because he was opening and closing the door and it was really annoying, so we cut a hole and it was fine." And I was like, literally, I think my reaction was like, "The cat? You said the cat, right?" And she was like, "No, the ghost, and it's fine." But it was my dream house, and I was 23, and I was romantic, and I was young, and I wanted to restore this house. And honestly, nothing happened for 5 years, except for, or that couldn't be explained, by my imagination. So 5 years later, though, I'd saved enough money. As a school teacher at the time, I started renovations, and I gutted the top floor where my bedroom was. And in doing so, I shut off this back staircase. And I think I changed the feng shui of the house, or the ghost corridor, and I think I pissed him off. So he appeared one night. Well, let me fast forward 10 years because I got to get to the reunion because I have 37 seconds left. It's Memorial Day, and I'm out in my gardens, and I'm weeding my daffodils, and I notice this huge boat of a Buick parked on the side of the road. And there's a couple in there, an elderly couple, and they're just sitting there staring at me at my house. And it's Buckfield. If you've ever been there, there is no traffic whatsoever. So this was highly unusual. Went over, asked him, hey, how can I help you? And he said, I grew up in your house. And I immediately, hungry for information about my house, come on in, tell me everything, I'm all ears. He told me about the blacksmith shop across the street and the pear orchard that used to exist on my property, about the jelly cabinet that I had pulled up from my basement. He said his grandmother used to put up jams and jellies and stewed tomatoes and sent him down to the basement for those items. And he had such fond memories. And all of a sudden I looked at him and I said, weird question, but do you have a brother? And he was like, I did. And I said, can you tell me about him? Did he grow up in this house? And he said, yeah, as a matter of fact, he did. And it's so sad. And I was like, tell me about him. And he said, he grew up in this house. He grew up in Buckfield. He fell in love. He was engaged to a woman. And right before he went overseas to Europe to World War II, she broke his heart. And she broke up with him. And it crushed him. His name was Russell. And he was a bitter, angry, heartbroken man. And he went to Europe. And 3 weeks later, into the war, he was killed by a sniper. And he said, I had to go to Portland and identify him, and the only way I could was the dog tags in his teeth. And he said, it's Memorial Day. I'm actually on my way to visit his grave. And I was like, all right, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I have to tell you something. And he looked at me and he said, and it had been about 45 minutes. So I was like, he lives with me, actually, in this house. He looks just like you, except he has wireframe glasses. And he's like, yeah, he does. He wore glasses. And so the reunion story that I have to tell is two brothers, one who died a tragic, heartbroken death in World War II, and the other who carried that guilt for so many years until he randomly stopped in Buckfield at my house to reunite with his brother, and I just happened to be there so I could say to him, he's okay, he's at peace, he's actually happy, and I'm happy to have him here. That's my story.